Hi friends, hope you're doing well. I'm Kumkum Sharma from iZenBridge, and on the behalf of iZenBridge, I would like to welcome you all on live open session episode 21. So we are committed since last 21 weeks. So without wasting any more time, let's jump into the agenda. And as you know, agenda is not driven by me, it's driven by you only. So whatever questions you have, you can ask your questions. The only thing you have to do, just post your question in the comment section. No matters whether you're watching this from Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, just post your questions and I'll include your questions. And again, today we have Mr. Saket Bansal with us. Hi, Saket. Thank you very much for taking out time for the session.
Hello everyone.
So, Saket, we have a couple of things to discuss, but before discussing my things, my agenda, I would like to wait for some time so that our participant, our viewers, they ask us questions so that we'll understand. Okay, what questions people want to ask you, because we are running this whole initiative since last 21 weeks, and every time I'm seeing that there are different audience. So I think now pretty much good awareness we have about this program, so let them ask the questions. So but if you have something, if you want to initiate something before the questions, please let me know.
Okay, so good. Couple of updates. I can say that many of you who are already following our YouTube channel might be already aware of. We had one product owner interview experience learning a conversation got shared this week. So some of you might have seen that. If not, that's a one thing one can check it out. It's a conversation, not having very specific questions and answers, but rather a conversation around the product owner, product manager, possible roles and questions. So that's something one can check. Yeah, that's information available to you. And yes, yeah, that's the one. The second thing is that the YouTube playlist of our SAFe Scaled Agile framework got updated. Now, in the last 10 days, we have added 7 videos around PI planning. So if you are interested in knowing SAFe and you have been doing some kind of exploration around SAFe, then you may want to check out our playlist on SAFe, and this playlist has now added videos on PI planning. Yeah, so towards the end, it has like around 43 videos as of now. I can see it, but yeah, the 7 videos on PI planning a meeting has been added. PI planning is one of the important topic of any scaled agile training, be it Scrum Master, Product Owner, or a leading SAFe, yeah, or whichever training you go through. You need to have a fair understanding of PI planning. I think around 2 hours minimum will get spent on those content. So checking these things in advance can help you grasp the content faster and make best use of your training experience. So that's something one can check out. Yeah, so these are the 2 content on our YouTube space in case you want to check them. The third thing I can reiterate, I think we spoke about sometime last week also, that I'm running a workshop on user stories. So again, it's more or less sold out now, but yeah, we have few seats if you wish to join. It's happening this Sunday. Yeah, depending upon your time zone, you can check. In India, it will be around 4:30 p.m. But yeah, you can check the time zone, base specific time. And here we are planning to explore this for around 3.5 hours, and we will explore user stories. We start with understanding the business model, understanding the product, user personas, and then understanding the flow of personas and system interactions. And based on the flow, we will create some set of user stories, create a story map, and then split the stories which are big, and finally add some acceptance criteria to them. So that's the plan. Lots of work, hands-on work I'm expecting. Yeah, but there will be some amount of theory, which might be around an hour out of these 3.5 hours. So that's the plan for our upcoming session on user stories. So in case someone having interest on it can do it. I can understand we are already approaching the holiday season, And yes, but that seems to be the final busiest weekend for us. Yeah, after that there will be a little uh, slack before the other weekends comes in. So these are three updates. One is new videos on PI planning. The second one is the PO interview series question, and the third one is the user story specific workshop which we are doing on this Sunday. Okay, so yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So one thing, just about this user story workshop which you're running on this Sunday, 19th of December. So Saket, just couple of things I wanted to understand from you. So what was the thought process behind this workshop, and who will get the benefit? Is this workshop for the new Scrum Masters or the experienced people who are working as a Scrum Master from long time? They'll also get some benefit from this workshop.
Perfect. So the idea which we are building around is that we want to add some competency based programs rather than only certification based programs. And this is our first of the offering in that competency based program space, where, see, when you go for a particular certification program, be it CSPO, be it SAFe POPM, it has to follow a learning objective which is coming from the certification body. And many, like if I take a particular product owner or program, it has content where the we need to teach you about how the overall role fits into what are the things, what are the meetings, and overall, so we need to tell you the whole big picture. Now when we will understand that big picture, it is expected that people will go to their work area and they will explore and build competencies around that. But many may want to have further assistance. They can say, okay, I understood the big picture, so we do expect people coming to the workshop have been through some of the Agile and Scrum programs, they understand what all this thing is all about, and after being through these particular program, they want to build competency now. So it's like, okay, I want to understand in detail, I want to use user story better, I have been using it, but I am facing these difficulties into it. And we work there and try to resolve your questions and build competency around that. So such kind of micro programs, if I can say them, rather than a 2 days 3 days training program, so half a day, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours kind of a programs, can help us in building those competency. Yeah, so let's see how the overall initiative goes. But yes, yeah, that's the whole idea. And we try to create a mentoring offers as well afterwards. If someone wants to get more mentoring in their own user stories, in their own case, then that can be also assisted. We may have some mentors who will be willing to assist those people in detail. So that's the whole idea. Now, why we picked up a topic on user stories, what I have seen, it's a fairly misunderstood topic, and it is fairly desired topic for Scrum Master as well as for product owners. So if I study the Scrum Master jobs, I see the user story related skills are asked very frequently. So Scrum Master should be able to help product owner in creating user story, understanding user story, coming up with the right sized user story. So this kind of a statement you will see in many Scrum Master's job profile. And when you go to a product owner's job profile, you will find that ability to elaborate, elicit user story, identify the right user story, ability to communicate user story with the development team, ability to come up with a functional and non-functional acceptance criteria, get it delivered incrementally. So those kind of skills are anyway core skills which will show up in a product owner job profile as well. So I thought of like this is a good starting point. Yeah, and let's see what we learn by doing it. We may repeat it, we may add some more modules on the same lines as we go along.
Perfect, perfect. Sounds really great. Thank you very much, Saket, for answering this. So let's.
Good. Yeah. So looks like we have a little calm today. Yeah, because of whatever
Yeah.
reason. Yeah. So yeah, I can pick up some of the things which we might need to look into. Some of the questions which I am getting on the YouTube or in the email space. That is something also we can explore. Yeah. Anything which you faced during this week, which you found little tricky to have right and wrong judgment or anything?
Yeah, so I have something to share. I mean, I'll take my question later. Okay, so I think you can start for now.
Okay, okay. So good. I have been getting some queries related to how to restart the career after a break. So that is something I think at some extent we discussed in our previous conversation also, where there was a participant, and the participant was asking that how do we restart the career after 5 years, 6 years of gap. So that's a thing. So I do see that it depends upon what is your experience, what is your current skills, and what kind of a role you want to fit into. So I think individual better come do some amount of their strength weakness analysis. You try to understand, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, and we also look for that some what kind of a thing I enjoy doing, but I may not have a skills in it. So some kind of a self assessment might be a good starting point. That helps you, and based on that self assessment, creating some kind of a desired profile. You looked at your strength, you looked at your previous experience, you looked at the type of things interests you, the market demand, and the opportunities which are coming. So you looked into strength and weakness, you also looked at opportunities and the threats for some of the things which you are working on. So you did your SWOT analysis, and based on that SWOT you come up with a profile that, okay, this is something, a profile I want to target to. Yeah. So step one, SWOT. Step two, based on the SWOT, understand where I want to go. So I pick up a job profile. Now, for that profile, now I better do an analysis of that profile. So it's like this, that I have a job profile in mind. I go to some of the job portals and I analyze some of the skills, competencies asked in that particular job. So I list them out. Yeah. And then I see what is lacking in me, how can I reach there. So you have your understanding already, you have a job profile understanding. Now you are just trying to find, how do I bridge the gap? So how do I use my existing strength to enhance those things and create a probability of getting that particular profile, or how do I take care of some of the weaknesses which are available in my profile. So I create that path for myself. Now many time in those paths you may end up doing certifications also sometime. Yeah. It's not necessary that certification you have to do, but many time, and that may become the one of the action item. So but when you have this analysis, those action items are goal oriented, rather than starting reverse, that okay, which certificate I should do so that I get a better job. So that will be a little reverse flow. So better I do my SWOT, I look at a target job profiles and I see a gap in between, and then I fill those gaps with the help of certification, with the help of some amount of competency building. I may start participating in some of the volunteering activities which can help me in creating some kind of experience around that work. So that is something one can do to make a roadmap. Many time things like certified Scrum Master may pop up because it's a good thing to get started, and knowing, if especially if you are planning to do a team leadership kind of profile, if you are targeting there, then that thing may pop up. If you are focusing on individual contributor, then you may need to build those technical and contribution skills and find out how possibly some learning and certification can help you in going there. So that's a one possible path I can share based on my perception, as well as the questions and the trend I see in the market. And I see many of our client doing this successfully. They're getting good results. So that's a possible thing one can do. Yeah. Okay, so that was the one thing I wanted to talk. I take a pause in case someone has comment or some question pop up in that much time. Okay, so related conversation, I think this is something also. Many times since we teach PMP, people come up and ask, should I do CSM first and then do PMP, and find a Scrum Master job first and then look for a project manager job. So is it a good idea to do a Scrum Master before targeting a project manager? So that could be another related thing. And many may have their own understanding of it. So we need to understand what, because it's difficult to just like blanketly say a Scrum Master, project manager, because all depends upon in which organization what role is doing what. Yeah. So there are project managers doing very different things. Both may be called project manager in different organization, but their job profile might be very different. So we need to understand what is the meaning of a particular job profile, and you can focus on that. You start with Scrum Master, and then get into the project management space, and because you may start with the leadership which you are doing at a team level, if that is happening at a Scrum Master profile in that organization, and then project management may come when you have a multi-team level profile. So that's, if that is the case, you may want to focus on that kind of gap. Yeah. So you may start with the Scrum Master stuff, and then you may get into a project manager thing. Okay, so we have something. Yeah. Trend. Okay. Okay, so the question is coming like, usually sometime the certification comes, they becomes a buzzword, and many people get the jobs as well as placements and all those things because of certifications, and these waves keeps coming. So say there was a wave for PMP, we can say that it started somewhere in the last, like you can say around 2000, and as a questioner is saying, 1998, or maybe it keeps growing till 2006, and many people who did project management, they got a job as a project management space. So that's wave came in. And I see the PMP may remain relevant even now. Then maybe after some time there was an agile wave. People got into Scrum Agile things, say around 10 years ago, and they spend more time. They build some skills around that, and they got there. Yeah, so that's a one thing which came. Yeah. Then say around 2014 15, I can say that Scaled Agile got in, they launched the Scaled Agile in 2011, but somewhere in 2014 15 this became pretty much like people who got into SAFe around 2014 15, they built some skills, they made good progress, and still, yeah, the framework is moving. So can we have something known that which can help us in knowing what might be working now, so that one can invest in it? So that's the question. So usually these waves becomes visible after passing through. So you can't even find out in advance many cases, but it comes once you pass through it. Yeah. So oh, this all has happened. But yes, whenever the new idea, new thing is coming, uh, there is a possibility of that thing becoming success. There is a possibility of that thing may not become success. So if you see people who made use of PMP, they might have invested in many things. So if I talk about my area, like when I was exploring around 2006 2004, when people were doing PMP, they were doing many things. So they were investing in ITIL, they were investing in Six Sigma, they were investing in PMP, and they were doing many things because people were not clear which one will make. So overall, the one line became good, and then that helped them in growing forward. So similarly, at this time also, people may need to invest in something which is emerging, especially if you are looking for the growth and futuristic. And more, we were like for many years, people are like PMI and everyone is trying to predict that business domain understanding to a project manager might be an important thing, which may come up as a big thing, but it has not become that big thing till now. But there is a good probability that understanding the business part of it, rather than only limiting your understanding to a scope part of, to a Scrum Master, to a project manager, might be a desired skill. So understanding some amount of product management, doing some amount of product business analysis work, building your capability in business domain probably can make one go a little ahead. Yeah, so that much I can say. So we also spoke about business agility at some point in time last time. The another thing which may not necessarily as a framework, but working with remote ways of working, digital space. Yeah, so remote working tools related to remote working, facilitating team building in the remote space, facilitating communication in the remote space. So if one develop those facilitation, communication, meeting management, coaching, working skills in a remote environment, I do see that has a good probability for future success. So that's something I can pick up as of now. So business agility, which might be focused on domain, and and that's something we can say here. Yes. Okay. So that's the comment as well as question. Then we see how it goes further. Okay, so we take it next. Okay. So one of the thing which is coming very frequently in our product owner space, as I spoke about product owner management, like how do we differentiate? Should I go for CSPO certificate or should I go for POPM certificate? Now that is something becoming a kind of a thing. How can one take a decision? So what is common? Both are talking about some elements like how to explore user stories, how to split the user stories, how to add acceptance criteria to it, what is definition of done. So various like the SAFe recommends one prioritization process, prioritization of a backlog, team level. So these things are common. You go for CSPO, you go for POPM, you both training will cover that. Now, what is unique in a POPM certificate is that it sees the product owner role, the whole idea of the training of a product owner role in the context of SAFe. So a good amount of education is focused on how a product owner collaborate with product management. What are the overlapping areas? How do you take inputs? How do you work as a one team? So that may not come in a product owner CSPO certificate, because CSPO certificate is meant for you playing a product owner role, you prioritizing the product backlog as a final caller, and giving and giving those priorities to rest of the people to work with. Yeah, that's something as a default you can see. But here the role is different, and there is a close collaboration with the product management is needed. So even though it's all about incremental elicitation of the requirement, working with the team to get those requirements done, and acting as a customer, as a user to the team, so that they get the whole business intent. So this part is common, but doing in a SAFe context, that is a differentiator in case of SAFe POPM program. So because of that differentiator, a good amount of training goes around PI planning meeting. So we made the PI planning meeting videos where it makes the attendee understand how this whole thing is triggered with the help of PI planning meeting. So what a product owner is expected to do in a PI planning meeting, what kind of a preparation and content readiness the product owner should do before coming to a PI planning meeting, and how the content and the objective creation inside the PI planning meeting takes an input, and what role a product owner play inside the PI planning meeting. And then those inputs need to be executed, worked upon incrementally when you are working in the iterations. So this whole idea of this whole piece will be not covered if you are doing CSPO class. Now, which might be a right thing or good thing also for you, because if if you are not working in a SAFe context. So for example, you just want to understand the product owner role, you just want to understand how the overall product visioning, customer understanding, user stories and acceptance criteria and backlog prioritization and these things works out. Yeah, that's the whole idea you are focusing on. Then attending a CSPO training is a good idea, because if you go for a POPM class, you will be spending good time in understanding PI planning meeting, which you may never do, yeah, if you are not working in a SAFe context. So the POPM class is primarily is a good class for a product owners who are working in a SAFe context. Now, if you are working in a SAFe context, assuming, but you might have done some other SAFe class, say you have done leading SAFe class, so you understand what whole things works, then doing CSPO or POPM more or less will be the same thing for you, because you have a fair understanding of how SAFe operates, you have a fair understanding of what is my role and responsibility, and you want to understand the skills which are needed for incremental requirement elicitation, working with the development team, slicing the big items into small items, and getting things done in a incremental and iterative way. So that's something which is good enough for your CSPO class. So depends where you are working or where you aspire to work. Even if you are aspire to work in a SAFe context, then only doing CSPO will miss the whole meeting and those context around that particular thing. Yeah. So that's one input. Now, many times people also ask, will I learn product management by doing these trainings? So my personal take is that yes, these training covers part of product management, but good part of these trainings are framework oriented also. So how you do things, which meeting is for what, how do you collaborate with other stakeholder, what are the prioritization techniques. So these things are also covered in those. So first it is a short, like 2 days class both, and then there is some content which are around the framework part of it. So ability to create the ideas and relate to it and understand the customers and understand the domain and then come to a user requirement, that much focus or skill development may not happen in those 2 days alone. You can get a sufficient amount of seeds which you can apply, and then you need to work on understanding how possibly your customer might want to interact with a system which you are proposing. So that's something which is a work in progress. So this is something I can say when it comes to exploring SAFe, POPM as well as CSPO classes. So it's difficult to say which one is good or which one is bad. It's a context dependent, and who should do what, that is something I try to explain here. Okay, so we have a question. What is the certification path after CSM? And I'm not from a software industry. That's the thing. Okay, so my recommendation is we come up with what I want to achieve by doing this certification. So if I want to shift from non-software to software, that could be a one thing. Or I'm saying that I am in a X industry and I want to apply some Scrum based approaches in my industry, and how possibly I can learn more about it. So some amount of goal is needed. Yeah, some amount of goal is needed, and then we can move forward on it. Yeah, that's the whole idea of working. So it is difficult to say that after CSM person should do this. No, every certification body has their own certification path. For example, after CSM they have advanced Scrum Master, they have a CSPSM, and there's a full path to it. So that's something is also there. Now if you are exploring, as I see from your subsequent comments, that I want to shift from non-software to software space, yeah, that is a clear thing coming in. So I believe it's a good idea to strengthen your facilitation and coaching skills, which might be needed more and more when you are working in a creative space as a facilitator, be it as a Scrum Master. So targeting a Scrum Master job after doing CSM certification may require you to brush up the facilitation and coaching skills. So possible certification program you can pick up is advanced CSM. Yeah, that's a Scrum Alliance program, which takes the little deeper into the understanding of Scrum. It's again management space only. It's a leadership space only. Or you can pick up the generic facilitation and coaching program from IC Agile. We run IC Agile Team Facilitator. In fact, we are doing it this weekend only, in case you want to do it. Yeah, it's a good facilitation based program. And then we also have IC Agile coaching program at some point in time, not necessarily just now. After doing facilitation and doing some more study on various agile flavors and agile ways of working, you may want to do ICP, ACC as well. So don't try to plan your all certification now. You have few options. Advanced Scrum Master, you have facilitation, you have ICP, ACC. Now, Advanced Scrum Master also has a criteria where they tell you that you should be working for 1 year as a Scrum Master. So if you are still exploring and you are not yet playing a role of a Scrum Master, then it may not be advisable for you to do an Advanced Scrum Master. So if I want to give you one advice, definitely you need to check your options and you may explore on your own. But from my side, if I just want to give you next thing, I will give IC Agile ATF certificate recommendation to you, Agile Team Facilitation, which you can get started. And after doing some more, you probably want to do Advanced Scrum Master or ICP, ACC. Yeah. Okay. So let's explore something more here. What does an RT expect from SAFe Scrum Master on a day-to-day basis? So see, the idea here is there is a Scrum Master role in a SAFe at a team level. Yeah, that's the thing. So we are saying what a Scrum Master role in a SAFe is expected to do on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, and what kind of an expectation or overlap with the release train engineer might have in that particular space. Now, see, it is a Scrum Master role. So first is that you need to be doing role at a team level. So there are two dimensions to a Scrum Master role in a SAFe context. One is focused towards the team, and another is focused towards the whole Agile release train, a group of teams. So a Scrum Master, in my view, is a team leader, team facilitator for his own Agile team, but he's a part of a big team, which is at a program level facilitating the whole Agile release train. So a Scrum Master should be a good team player when it comes to a Agile release train level group, and he should be a good leader when it comes to an Agile team. So, and that sometimes becomes very challenging. A good leadership and team member skills coming together sometimes becomes little difficult. So that is the expectation for a Scrum Master. Ensuring the impediments getting taken care well, taking care of creating a self-organizing team. Not necessarily you need to facilitate all the meeting, but the things gets done. Either you facilitate or the team does it on their own if it's a self-organizing team. So you need to ensure the team is not blocked because of whatever reason. That's something you do. At the same time, a Scrum Master should also ensure that I am communicating about my team progress, about my team blockages, about my team issues in a right way to the remaining Scrum Masters and release train engineer, so that they can take corrective and preventive action if it is needed, or they can understand the impact of my issue, so they can help me in a more effective way. So ensuring a very clear and transparent communication with the other teams, and also learning about each team's what is working there and what is not there, is the critical responsibility a release train engineer will expect from the Scrum Master other than his team level role. So here is the team member role. And another thing is the Scrum Master should facilitate a overall ART level goal achievement. So focusing on collaboration when it comes to multi-team conversation, by way of highlighting the issue early and often, by way of being flexible in changing the path whenever it is needed. So that's the kind of thing I think is expected from a Scrum Master in a SAFe environment, doing good job at a leadership level for an Agile team, and being a good team player and ensuring your team also becomes a good team player when it comes to ART level. Yeah, so you do it with the help of Scrum events. You do it by way of participating effective in a PI planning meeting. You do it by having very good formal and informal relationship with other Scrum Masters, and where you always find the solutions rather than going into the problems all the time. So that much I can say about the Scrum Master in case of SAFe. Yeah, so hopefully this answers. If there is a follow-up question, please drop it in the chat. Now another question, the same thing which was getting from non-software to software, and the point is that nobody is entertaining as the no software industry exposure. So okay, that's the current state. So what can you do about it? So when I say that I want to get into software industry and nobody is entertaining me because I don't have a software experience, so what do I do? How do I move forward? Yeah, one of the possible thing is I acquire a software experience. Now somebody will say, okay, but this is a chicken and egg, which one will come first? If I don't have an experience, people are not entertaining it, and if they don't entertain it, how do I get a software experience? So we need to find some breakthrough here, and it might not be very easy breakthrough, but it is a possible breakthrough. So one of the possible way is I learn more and I try to use my previous experience, which might be a domain, or I might try to work in a software industry where my domain is used. Say, for example, I am coming from construction, yeah, and I want to get into software. I might want to get into the companies who are making software for construction, might be, yeah. So I can penetrate there. So they value what I am doing. Or I am coming from, say, educational industry. I have been training or teaching in college. Now I want to get into a software development. Then I may want to work with those companies who are making software for education companies. That's the one possibility. The another possibility could be I may tag with some founders who are initially setting up the company, and I may facilitate them as a part of my extra curriculum activity along with my current job by doing some amount of facilitation so that I get some exposure. So that's a second possible thing. Third possible thing, I may join some training or a mentoring program where they show me how these things are getting done, and I may remain part of their mentoring process for a few months so that I get an exposure of understanding the issues, attending their daily scrum or something else. So there are possible paths once we start understanding our current requirement, understanding our current strength and weaknesses, something which we also started with, that okay, if I am starting my thing after a break, how do I get started? So, and I have seen these things working for many. So whatever I'm sharing based on what I have observed. And these are not the comprehensive list. Somebody may have the different ideas as well, and they may also work. So based on these ideas, based on your own ideas, figure it out, and you will find it. Yeah, it's not possible if you are really putting that desired. Uh, uh, it's possible if you are putting that desired effort. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we do have a mentoring programs. Yeah, so you can check our website called oguild.com. Yeah, it's still at a initial stage of its launch, but that's the whole purpose of it. So the platform at oguild.com we want to create is that where professionals can connect with aspiring professionals, and it is not a training program, but it is more a mentoring program. And there are some mentors available who are even running scrum simulations also, where their company is willing to have one or two person to come and observe their day-to-day activities and understand how things are there. So if you are part of oguild.com, you may need to find the mentors, and there are many, and you can check out who is or where what all feels good for you. If things are not clear, you can drop us an email, you can drop me an email, or you can drop an email to info@oguild.com. So that's also a possibility of doing it. And we have many participants who have passed through this whole process, and there are some success stories as well. Yeah. So okay, so
So yeah,
That's
second, I think I really like that last idea of the mentoring thing, because certification definitely give the toolkit to the people. Okay, but the working challenges you'll understand during the mentoring hours. So yeah, that's a very good point you raised.
good. Yeah. So okay, so there is a question. So, no, how do you transform in portfolio level? Safe website mentions about LPM, connect the portfolio to enterprise strategy and all. How do you, how to do the same is not able to see more details. Okay, that's perfect. So, see, the safe approach for transformation at LPM level is not different from overall safe implementation roadmap. That's something I can say based on my observation. So what does it mean? So the way safe implementation roadmap presents it, that you start with few agile release trains, you make the success, and then once the success is achieved, you go to an LPM level a movement. Now there, the scaled agile has good amount of toolkits which helps us in launching lean portfolio management. These toolkits are primarily meant for first facilitating the definition of portfolio, identifying their overall structure, boundaries, and value delivery. So they have a tool called portfolio canvas. And once that is done, then it starts focusing on more fine grain understanding of the development value streams which you have in your organization, and then talks about setting up the meetings and other stuff related to evaluating the Kanban board of portfolio, evaluating the ideas which are coming in, evaluating and working with what is happening right now in the agile release train. So that's the whole thing. So if you want to get a little bit more idea from a website, the implementation roadmap and the step which is focusing on take it to portfolio level can give you a sufficient ideas to start with. Now from scaled agile, they also have a program which primarily meant for this purpose only, and they call it lean portfolio management program. It's if it is done in a public setup, usually people run it for 2 days, but if it is run in a corporate setup, it is run for 3 days. And when you run it for 3 days, it is kind of a combination of first 2 days are on learning, and then the next one, yeah, is on the third day is on facilitating, and it's kind of a workshop, LPM workshop, which gives you a clear idea that how possibly you can get started in your organization. So that's something is coming as an approach from scaled agile. So check it out at implementation roadmap. That's to start with. And then if it interests you, probably you want to touch upon and check out the LPM program as well. Yeah, that's the thing which you want to focus on. Yeah, we do run LPM classes in case you want to explore, and that's a possibility of doing it. Yeah. So there are some content available on the website itself. If I just show it to you, just to have a little feeling of it, where you can find it. Uh, so this is something, a link will come when you click on the implementation roadmap, a step called extend to portfolio. And then it talks about what does the extend to portfolio means, how do you launch ARTs and all those things, what all you probably do. And yeah, so there are some ideas. How do you identify development value stream? How do you create a epic level Kanban board, work on it, and then finally you evolve there. So I suggest this is your first step, and if this thing interests you, you may want to go to LPM workshop. Okay. Good. So if things are getting settled down, I think we can also look for if there is anything confusing in this particular space. There could be a follow-up question on yeah, so I think Santosh may have a question. Hi Santosh, if you have, please drop it here. Now, if I take the question related to SAFe LPM further, the second question could be okay. So I think we have a question from Santosh. So this, he's saying, I am done with PMP and ACP. What should be my next certification? And see, many time people who do PMP, PMI, ACP, they think that, okay, what can we do, because they have been preparing and it's all excitement is happening there. So it depends upon what kind of role you want to target. Yeah. So that's the important stuff. And if you want to target a place where scaled agile is getting used, or if you see the scaled agile is getting used in your current profile, you may want to do that. Yeah, you may want to learn that and do the certification. The another thing is there could be other non-certification related activities also to build your competency and career readiness. So say improving and working on the social media space, understanding the digital content, remote working, joining some of the facilitation workshops and understanding how to facilitate communication and conversation, how to resolve conflicts well. So there could be other type of learnings also. So it is not necessarily always linked to certification. It could be sometime also building some competencies. So if you want to stick to project management, you are coming with, you have a decent experience of PMP and Agile. I think from a certification perspective, you are well taken care. You may not face a difficulty when you are applying a particular position just because of a certification perspective. You may face a challenge for some of the competencies. So you may need to figure out, okay, I am here, I want to go to the next level. And at next level, these are the competencies are needed. Yeah. And these are the things which I see more and more probably in those profiles. And how do I build those competencies? And how can possibly a certificate can help me in building those competencies? So in general, competencies around facilitation, competency around people management, coaching, which may look like communication and conflict management, may always be needed. So you need to work on some of the softer areas, maybe with certification or without certification. That is something one can find out. Yeah, we do run a certification program on coaching, which is more on a competency building space, which takes around 6 months time to get it. It is an ICF program called ICF ACC. So if you want to explore on a coaching as a competency, that could be a one possible thing you can focus on. PMI also has their PGMP, PFMP, PMI, PBA, all are options. So PGMP, PFMP are little bit, I would say that they are not that many people who are PGMP or PFMP certified. So you don't see that particular certificate so often in the job profiles. But if you see that is a space, you may want to do that. PMI, PBA is also there from PMI, which primarily focuses on skills around business analysis. So figure out which skill you want to build, and then probably you want to add a certification to it so that it gives you a clear idea for the closer. Okay, so question like, I have done CSM, CSPO, is it necessary to do SAFe as well? So as my idea here is, so if someone has done certified Scrum Master and certified Scrum Product Owner, we expect the person has got all the formal education to understand the overall Scrum way of working and various roles, primarily two roles, Scrum Master and Product Owner. So you have a fair well coverage of how the Agile team or a Scrum team is expected to operate. Yeah. And you have those competency. Even if you are working as a Scrum Master, you can coach Product Owner on various tools and techniques. So that's first level understanding is you already have. Now, if you want to work in a context where SAFe is used, they will have some more meetings, they will have some more interactions and role level collaboration. So you can know about them once you join the organization also. So that's a pretty much there. But many time you also see a job vacancies coming in where they want people who are already ready. Yeah, they can just come and take the job in a safe environment as a product owner or a scrum master. So those kind of an organization might need a safe certification. That's the one thing. The another thing is, even if you are working in a scrum space only, but you are talking to some stakeholder, and stakeholder might heard of something called safe, and they may want to say, why don't we use safe here, we are using scrum. And you are just a scrum master, and you may want to know safe so that you can explain what is appropriate and what is not appropriate to use when. Yeah. So sometimes I see the people do the safe just for a knowledge perspective so that they can handle various situations and know when to do what. Yeah. Sometimes I see various, and that is something like building the skills towards coaching space, consulting space. Sometimes people do to just be ready for safe way of working and playing their scrum master and product owner role there. Yeah, so that's something we can say. Yeah. So just a small question which Baju you have asked. Yes, so you are right. We start that transformation at a team level, at a agile release train level, and then move to the portfolio, not in the reverse way. Yeah, yeah. So that's something we do. Okay, so I go from top again. And what are the tools a safe scrum master should learn for his role? That's a one question. One follow-up question related to agile transformation. What is the best approach for transformation, top down or bottom up? Okay, good. So see, tool for safe scrum master and scrum master are more or less the same. Yeah. You primarily focuses on ensuring transparency with the help of various indicators. So like ensuring that team is aware what is happening and the others are also aware what is happening. So facilitation, coaching as a competency, and work management tools, whatever the tool which you are using, maybe Zira or something, is something which is needed for both the roles. Yeah. When you work in a multi-team environment, the digital tools becomes more important because there is a more data to handle. So in a small team, maybe awareness of Zira may not be that much important, but when you go to a large complex team, then you might have to be taken. So those tools may need to be understand there. Yeah. So risk management professional, the question is, if you are dealing related to risk and if you are working in the industry where risk is very important, then definitely you better want to work on risk management things. Yeah. So this is a little tricky. So I need a help. My organization has many POs to one scrum master. Yeah. So that seems to a little difficult situation. Maybe we need to understand how to deal with that situation. May not may any framework may not help you. So if you have a 6 POs and one scrum master in a team, so I don't know which framework it is. Yeah. So we need to figure it out. What is that framework? Maybe those POs are stakeholders rather than POs. So we need to come up with a one product owner for your team, and other can become a stakeholder. They definitely provide inputs to it. Yeah. So that seems to be the thing. I also replied your question on the YouTube as well because I was not clear. Today only I replied it. So you may want to check that as well. But at a team level, we have just one. Yeah. So I think we had, yeah. And the another thing which I think you are exploring, Bezo, is that how do you do agile transformation? Is it a top down or a bottom up or a sideway, or how should you do it? So I think there is no one pattern. It's a unique thing which happens in each organization, and somewhere there are, say, sometime you pick up a new product without too much marketing and selling happening for that product. Yeah, that's a bottom up thing. Yeah, you just came to know about something and you started buying it. Sometime the whole campaign happened and you get aware about that product and then you start buying it. Now, a small company may not have that much capacity to create a lot of marketing budget and promote the product before the people start buying it. They will say, let's give some test market and try out to penetrate in a one space and then grow it. Yeah. So that's a bottom up thing which is happening. But there are some organizations who may have investment money enough. They says, oh, who will go for all this strategy? We want to go big. Yeah. So they may go big. Now, who is right? It depends upon the DNA of that particular organization. Some organizations can do it at a top down in a pretty good way. Some may be able to do it at bottom up only. And it also depends upon the organization culture, where the organization is built as a collection of self-organizing unit. Then the bottom up or a team level transformation and gradually organization doing works better. But when the organization is worked like a very structured hierarchical organization, in those kind of an organization, usually the people only listen when the management starts saying something. So that's why the management has to tell. Yeah, that's or they want the organization to design in such a way so the management always tell. Yeah, so whichever way, but that's the reality one is dealing with. So if we are working, we need to see what is the organization style, yeah, culture, DNA, and how possibly the change can come, and where the bigger problems are, and how can we incrementally collaboratively solve those problems. So it could be a combination of both. Yeah, there could be a acceptance and strategy at a top level. There could be an execution at a bottom level, and then once that team level strategy starts making sense, you may have a top level transformations also. That's something like Scaled Agile takes it. They focus on having a kind of roadmap at a top level, but results are expected to come at agile release train level. And once the result starts coming in, it might be good to take the transformation to a bigger level. So SAFe is kind of mixing both, but yes, there are people who might be doing top to bottom and bottom to top as well. Yeah. Good. Yeah. So this is where we conclude. Yeah. So this is what we wanted to talk. There was no particular topic, Pamela. We just do these things as an open conversation. So it was just like whatever you have thing. And I know your situation is a little typical, so I don't have any advice. But yeah, I can just say that, guys, let's. You probably can go and say, guys, let's come together and figure it out. Who's the one finally facilitating the prioritization? I'm not saying taking the decision, but I'm saying who is facilitating. And you all can give an input to that guy, but don't confuse us directly. Yeah, probably. Okay, so this is where we end, and I think the recording will be anyway available. It's already live. Someone wants to check the history of our conversations, also can do it. All the past conversations are available on YouTube. It's the 21st one, and sometimes we also create small clips out of it. If we like the topic, we believe, or if we believe that people will like the topic rather than that, yeah, so rather than we liking the topic, we feel that people will like it, then I do it. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I think we have a one follow-up question coming in before I close. Go ahead, type it, probably, and we take that and then we close. So till the time question is coming, so so this is so one the situation is, whenever the merger happens, it's a typical case and it will take time to settle down. So it's a big churn out. Yeah, and they, how it will settle down, you don't know. There will be a movement of people may leave the organization, so those all things happens. So the question is that when the two companies are merging and one might be coming from an agile culture and another is coming from a traditional culture, they might have done a mapping at a business model level, but when it is coming at an execution level, at an operation level, both have been doing a very different work, yeah, or they were working in a different style. And this thing is called change management exercise. It is there before agile. It was there before agile, and it will remain there all the time. Yeah. So how do we manage this transformation and change? So as an organization will understand that this is going to be a difficult period, and usually they form a group of individuals who will work to make this transformation smooth. So so now you have a stakeholder, say some senior stakeholder. He says, okay, that these are the people who are working together. So we need to come up with this transformation team as a group and see that how do we create the new culture, which may be a combination of previous cultures and the of the two organization. What are the things which we need to preserve, and what are the things we need to drop? So it's like that group of individuals who might be coming as a senior executive of the organization, some consultants and coach like you and me. We all work together and try to come up with, okay, what is our roadmap for 30 days, 90 days, 60 days kind of stuff, and how do we move towards it? So it's a transformation thing which might focus on role alignment, communication alignment, organizing the team in a way so that communication can become better, uh, uh, picking up some of the frameworks if it is needed, putting up some tools to ensure transparency, or a common tool to see all the information at a one place rather than each team using different things. So it is an activity which has to be done, which starts with a proper visioning for a new state, and then coming up with incremental plans, and you do inspect and adapt. You run for a month and then you check it. Yeah. So it's an overall approach one has to take. I don't have a direct path for it, but overall approach is that, okay, consultants, coach, and the stakeholders comes together and form a path forward. Yeah. Good. So I think this is where we can conclude today's session, and we do intend to do the session next week as well, which seems to be a risky week though, but we are intending to do it. Let's see what all happens. But yes.
Yeah, guys, and you can share your comments too if you really like this session and if you want to join next week as well. Just post your comments and definitely we'll plan next week. But we are thinking about this thing. So I think good place to close the call, Saket. Yeah. So, anyways, we crossed the time limit also, though we always believe in a time boxing. But yeah. So, time to say bye now and take care of yourself. And we'll be definitely come back again next week, next Friday, same time. If you really like this session and if you really want to join the session, we'll definitely come back. So, for now, just bye and take care of yourself.